my experience with a bone marrow biopsy. Hi, so I am like 5 or 6 days out from having a bone marrow biopsy. So I thought, let me just give an update, and heads up, I slept through the whole thing. So my preparation was essentially to not eat or drink 6 hours before the procedure. Actually, what happened is I didn't eat or drink from like 3 or so in the morning. I had water in the middle of the night until like 10. So, you know, that's like 7 hours, and I hadn't eaten for a while, and that was perfectly fine, easy, and that was my preparation. Side note, I have to say, I have a personal preparation whenever I go to the doctor or any procedure. I clean my house, I get things ready, order groceries, whatever I have to do, and tell my husband everything he has to do, just in case there's a delay and I never know how I'm going to feel after an appointment. Sometimes I feel great, sometimes I'm gone, I'm done. So personal preparation is clean your house, get things ready, lay out your clothes, get everything tidied up so you're in good shape, so the person that you'll be after the fact can appreciate it. Pamper your future self. So when I went in there, they have you get ready, right? They do, I think it was blood pressure, some of the regulars. They go through the questions with you. And and the guy comes in to tell me, he's like, yeah, so you will wake up and you'll feel this pressure. And I'm like, oh, no. He's like, yeah, people usually think it's worse than this, but it's not going to be horrible. And I said, no, I thought it would be a lot better. I was expecting to sleep the entire time. And he's like, no, you're going to be awake. You're just relaxed. I'm like, no, I want to sleep. So I was like, no, just put me to sleep, seriously. And he was like, we'll see how it goes. And then he said, hey, did you get your port done here? And I said, yes. And he said, okay. So he said, we're actually going to use the same, I guess, anesthesia or whatever recommendations they did on that one. And he's like, so we'll just use the same things they did. And I said, perfect. Luckily enough, had a nurse there that could access my port. So we went through the port, not an IV. I was so happy. I did not want to get stabbed. Multiple times in the arm. So it was nice for me because they did use the regular size needle where you just put things in. It was pretty nice comparatively. Still hurts, still pinches, all that kind of. Sometimes they smush your skin on there and it like pinches. But all in all, I was happy with that. I was able to use a port. Then they talked to me and then they wheeled me in. I gave my husband a hug and a kiss. He went his merry way, and I went back there. They had me go onto a table. It's like a metal table. And essentially lay on my stomach. And I'm not a good stomach layer, but you lay on your stomach, even with the port. So I'm laying on the metal table and on my stomach, and then they give you a pillow, and you bunch it up and kind of sit there so you're not smushing your port, but so you're kind of there and not totally awkward. They essentially open your gown, and luckily I got my socks on, so I got my feet warm. But nonetheless, nothing else really. So then what they did is they opened the gown and did whatever dressing they needed to do. And they're talking, they're filling out all the information, and the anesthesiologist is asking me questions. Heads up, so when I do get my anesthesia, when I got my port placed on the way home, I vomited projectile 3 times in the car. It was awful. So I always ask, can I get a vomit bag on the way home? Literally, please, yuck. And so they have, for the last 2 that I've had, they have put this solution in. It's a solution that makes me not so sick. So it kind of stops the vomiting effect instead of a cleanup situation, right? So that was nice. So she put that in, and as I'm laying there, I see this tube going past my eyes and like that. So I'm seeing and there's like some bubbles. I was like, oh, poo. But they went in, and so what she did is they're putting in whatever number they needed to do to put me out. And as I'm laying there, and sometimes it has a delayed effect, I don't always go right zonk out. And I know it's caused a little bit of a havoc for them sometimes, because they'll go to do something and then they're like, whoop, not asleep, you know? So what happened is I was looking over and they're chatting, they're all getting these things done, and this girl pulls out this huge needle. Now, mind you, I on purpose did not read about this because I do not want to know sometimes, right? Okay, this needle was huge. And it was like this big, and I'm like, wait, no, I'm not out yet. Can you please wait until I'm out, until this medicine kicks in, please? And she's like, oh, this is just the numbing thing to go down. Don't worry. And I'm like, mind you, I've had a lot of different things, but I had someone when they stuck a needle in my stomach before, and it hurts once it hits that muscle and beyond. Pain. And I was like, no, please wait till I'm out, please. And she's like, okay, it'll be a minute. And I'm like, oh, thank God. And then I'm telling myself, go to sleep, let that medicine work, please go to sleep. And here's the irony, I guess. Everything's ironic. I'm exhausted all the time, especially with PV, low iron, the whole nine. I'm exhausted. So I think, hey, I'm on top of this. I can go right to sleep. So I just kind of zoned out and I watched the fluid go through, and even the shock of that ginormous needle. So even with that shock of this huge needle, and I'm like panicked, and I'm like, I look at the line and zonked. Next thing I know, I am kind of hearing stuff, and I'm laying down and I'm looking around and I'm cozy, and I'm like, and I have to wait. I have to remember there was some pressure and pain that I vaguely felt some pressure and pain, but I was so out of it, it almost didn't register. So that was as much as I remember. And so this is why I cannot give you a detailed description of any of it other than what the guy told me was going to happen. Nothing. Okay. I felt like even with that pressure and pain, essentially nothing. So then when I woke up, no, things are hazy. Sorry, I don't remember every single bit. But apparently my blood pressure was super low. And so she's like, you need to eat something like now. So she gave me a turkey sandwich, I guess. And I like vaguely remember like being automatic and just eating whatever was given to me and drinking and then like talking to him. And I'm like, I have to get home to my son. I don't know why. But you know, I mean, like you don't want to go zonky and go home to your son, but I want to go see my baby, right? So anyhow, I was kind of out of it. She gave me some food. She's like, you have to have this to go out of here. And it actually turned out well. I was loopy. I don't remember all the instructions. Luckily, they gave us paper. They talked to my husband. He was my go-to guy. And this is probably why I don't remember, or why I fell asleep, because I usually don't remember much after. I'm like yucky wonky. So to finish that up, essentially what they did is they put me in a wheelchair because I do have a risk of falling. I get dizzy a lot and I do fall. I fell this morning. Happens. So what happened is they put me in the wheelchair, took me up to the front, and then my husband wanted coffee or something, so he got that. And then he pretty much had to walk me to the car because I was still loopy and kind of like, you know, wishy-washy. We got home, I zonked out, didn't feel the pain, and then it hit me. Ouch. I had a splitting headache, like awful. And I had one before, but it's kind of like I'm used to them. But that day, my head it would not stop. So I probably shouldn't have taken ibuprofen, but I did. I took ibuprofen, I took Tylenol, and I took aspirin. It was brutal, and I didn't know what to do, and I was in like utter pain. My head hurt more than my back or my... So with this insane headache, I didn't feel anything else. Then after taking all those, I zonked out. The next day, I was okay, but I was still taking like Tylenol and just relaxing as much as possible. I don't remember everything. Number one, I'm having other issues. The thing is, even though I had a bone marrow biopsy, it doesn't help my platelets or my blood count or anything. It was just simply tests. So I'm still dealing with other issues, right? But the second day, so the day after, was not so bad. I mean, it was still bad. My headache had subsided. I was starting to get achy pains back there, but I was like, okay. The next day, brutal. It was like I could feel bruises, and granted I was tender before, but it was like bruising and pain, and you're like, whoa, what did they do? Like beat me up back there? Like that is some brutal, something got extremely painful. I had my sister come over. She helped me take off the bandages. I waited 2 days because I know you're not supposed to bleed after, and I did have some blood on the thing, and even my port was kind of different. It was bleeding still. So I waited an extra amount and had her help me clean it up, and she took pictures and, you know, kind of bandaged it for me, which is great. And then I just kind of dealt with it. I was in pain, stiff, not feeling good. My husband, he was amazing as always and helped take care of my son and all those things. I'm still in the healing process. I think you're supposed to wait a week before you can do anything really rough. It still hurts getting up and down. Sleep is uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. These are the things that it's like, okay, yeah, you had a bone marrow biopsy, but the week after, sleep sucks. I'm a tosser turner, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, and I have to like get up out of the bed. So I'm like literally getting up out of bed and then flipping over and then going back in. Or I do this thing where I kind of lift up and then move. So it's like they say walk around to try and get, you know, circulation, heal the area. So I've been doing those things. I try and, you know, feel healthy and good. Here's the bad part. I forgot to take my temperature. It says take your temperature for 3 days. My brain is not 100%. In fact, I've gotten a couple important phone calls in the last few days, and I'm like, honey, you need to follow up on those. Like my husband has to because not there. So I did forget an important part, taking your temperature. So that is something you need to do. Luckily, I don't feel like I had anything. I did have swelling, and it was kind of red, but that's kind of toned down, so I feel okay. It did bleed again once we had some new dressing on it, but not something horrendous, and my blood's been doing some weird stuff anyhow, so I'm not super alarmed. Anyhow, today I took a nice shower, cleaned it up again, still bruised back there, still, you can see that it's kind of like a little slice injection site. I'm still scared to see everything. Like when I first kind of Googled it, I saw pictures of a needle in bone, and I was like, no thank you. I don't want to see that right now. So I don't know exactly what happened. I know they'd have to like if you think of it, like chisel into a bone. And I think that's pretty much what happened, because the after effect is you feel like someone beat you in your area back there. It's brutal. Oh, another thing. I couldn't understand their terms when they're saying where does it actually located. So I'm just going to say it. So like here's your butt, and then it's like right up above it and just a little to the right from the center of your butt. I don't know. That's like as technical as I'm getting, and normal person talk as to where it was located. I know it's a silly thing to share, but literally I was talking to my husband the night before. I'm like, I wonder where they're going to stab me, you know? Oh my God, I forgot. He gave me a gift. He gave me a watch to track my heart rate, because it is insane. My heart wakes me up every night. That's a whole other thing. Lots of stuff. Anyway, that was my bone marrow biopsy experience. I slept, woke up. Now the pain is here. It has definitely subsided from the 1 day. It is painful getting up and down, and sleep still sucks. Obviously, like, look at my eyes. They're like, ugh, I'm not getting sleep. But hopefully soon enough, everything will be better. And we're looking for answers and good, positive things. My doctor already told me that she has some results and that I will be going in earlier than we first scheduled. She wanted me to go this week, but I can't because my husband has to go in with me. So we'll go the next one as soon as possible. I have to admit, currently I am not grasping a lot of things mentally, like just having issues. So before I had my bone marrow biopsy, obviously I was having issues, and we had the bone marrow biopsy. It did not change how I'm feeling mentally, grasping onto things and remembering. So my husband was amazing. He did give me the watch, which was so sweet and wonderful. And I literally have been forgetting the days. So if there's any more, I'll remember. So all in all, my experience was not as bad as others by any means, from what I've heard. I'm very lucky in that sense. Yes, it still is a rough situation, sleep-wise, etc. But there is some good news if you're looking for a happier experience with what is the word? Bone marrow biopsy.